Tonight, the president's disregard for public health. I don't say that lightly. But how else can you view it when experts say don't attend large gatherings and he's effectively hosting one tonight? Take a look at the scene at Mt Rushmore this evening. The president is on his way there to South Dakota right now, where he'll give a speech and watch fireworks with a crowd that's expected to be up to 7,500 people. Masks are optional. Social distancing, there's no plan for it, as you can see. The president intentionally flouting his experts' own guidelines that face coverings and avoiding large gatherings is absolutely necessary at this point to stop the spread of coronavirus at a time when infection rates are at an all-time high. 36 states, including South Dakota, are seeing an increase in infections. Alabama and North Carolina reporting a record number of cases just today. In California, hospitalization rates are at an all-time high. And in Arizona, the demand for ICU beds is hitting a new level. And when the president's own infectious disease expert was asked about events just like tonight's at Mt Rushmore, here's what Dr. Anthony Fauci said.
You should avoid, whenever possible, gathering in crowds where people cannot maintain physical distance. If, in fact, the circumstances are such that that's going to happen anyway, no matter what anybody says, you should wear a mask at all times.
That's clearly not happening tonight, which can only lead one to ask, is the president putting the public at risk so he can put on a spectacle packed with a crowd? Because you know he's been advised against this, but still.
I'm going to Mt Rushmore on July 3rd. We're going to have a tremendous evening. It's going to be a fireworks display like few people have seen. And then we're coming back here celebrating the 4th of July in Washington, D.C.
D.C.'s mayor is actually urging residents not to go to the National Mall tomorrow for that, warning that it's just not safe at this point in the pandemic. So this isn't even do as I say, not as I do territory anymore with the president and the White House's response to this very real public health crisis. It is, if you're trusting the science, which you should, it is now don't do as he says and don't do what he's doing. Joe Johns is out front live at Mt Rushmore, where the president will be arriving shortly. Joe, what are you hearing and seeing there on the ground?
Well, Kate, 3 points. First is crowd size. Always tends to be an issue as the president tries to restart the country and flies around to these big events. If you look down at the lower level here in the amphitheater at Rushmore, it's pretty much filled up. We've been watching it all day long, and the entire amphitheater is not filled up yet, but it looks like that could happen. As you said, they're looking for 7,500 people. The second point is important. We have not seen a lot of face coverings on the people coming in here. We've been watching it all day long. We know that face coverings are optional. We also know that the government has said they will provide face coverings for people if they come in here and don't have them. It doesn't look like a lot of people have been asking for that. And the third issue is distancing. Now, we were told by the governor of this state, South Dakota, that there would be no distancing at this event. What we did not know is that there would be people who could not distance. That is because there are these black folding chairs filling out some of the seating in the amphitheater, and they are linked together with black zip ties. And you ask, why on earth would you create a situation like that where the person sitting in one seat has an up-close personal experience with the person sitting in another seat in the age of coronavirus? The answer is there is a code. There is a fire code that says these seats have to be linked in case there is a storm or a fire. And if there is a storm and a fire and they're not linked, those chairs could block the exits and make it hard for people to get out. The last point is fire is a real issue here. When it gets dark, there are going to be fireworks, and there have been forest fires here before. So concerns about that. The authorities want to keep everybody safe. Kate, back to you.
Joe, thank you. More breaking news tonight. At least 8 Secret Service agents stuck in Arizona after getting coronavirus while preparing for a visit by Vice President Mike Pence. Pamela Brown is out front right now. Pamela, this is also causing concern, understandably, among agents at tonight's rally in South Dakota.
That's right. Kate, agents have been there on the ground in South Dakota for several days preparing for the president's trip there. And they're also preparing for what appears to be the inevitability here of at least one or more agents contracting the coronavirus. When you look at what's happened thus far in the Secret Service, we have just learned today that at least 8 Secret Service agents are now in quarantine at a hotel in Phoenix. They tested positive for coronavirus before Vice President Pence's trip there, and they are experiencing flu-like symptoms, a source tells my colleague Jamie Gangel. So you have that. In addition to upwards of 15 agents, Kate, who tested positive for coronavirus after the president's Tulsa, Oklahoma rally, as you'll recall, just about 2 weeks ago. So there are a couple dozen Secret Service agents, Kate, who have already tested positive that we know of. Those are the ones that we know. Right. And one source within the agency spoke to Jamie Gangel and said that there is a sense of frustration among some agents that this is an unnecessary risk going on these trips for the president campaign rally for what some sources say is just meant to boost the president's mood. They think that it's really an unnecessary risk for exposure and just not worth it. Now, we should note, though, the Secret Service gives masks, has given protective gear to all of the agents. A White House spokesman said that the president takes the health and safety of those traveling for him seriously. And the Secret Service says the health and safety of the agents, of their families, and of the protectees are of utmost importance. Kate?
Pamela, great reporting. Thank you. And welcome back. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Out front with me right now, Dr. Jonathan Reiner. He was a White House medical advisor under President George W. Bush. And Dr. William Schaffner. He's a professor of the Division of Infectious Diseases at Vanderbilt University Medical Center and a former CDC official. It's great to see both of you. Dr. Reiner, you told me last night President Trump was clearly flirting with disaster by continuing to hold large events like this, especially when he and others, well, one, are not wearing masks. And then you just hear Pamela Brown's reporting. It's about Secret Service agents. But it's not just Secret Service agents, which is important to talk about because they're on their job, but also look at these crowd shots. People very close together, many not wearing masks. Yeah. What is at stake here tonight?
Well, the health of the public. Which apparently is not much of a concern for the president and his team. Kate, would you have a get-together in your home if you knew that at least some of the people coming to your home would get sick or maybe die because they're coming to your home, or that others who came, right, or that others who came to your house would get so drunk that they would get into accidents and hurt people who weren't even in your house? That's what happens when you have a mass gathering during a pandemic. And that is what all of these events that the president goes to, where they promote these large numbers of attendees, that's what this does. It's a danger to the people that support him, and it's a danger to his staff. On the rock behind him, on the mountain behind him, is Thomas Jefferson. And Jefferson said, "We act not for ourselves, but for all humankind." What we're seeing here from the President of the United States is a selfish act, an act of self-promotion which puts the health of his staff members and the people who support him at risk. It's really unjustifiable.
Dr. Schaffner, the Attorney General of South Dakota, he today downplayed the concerns surrounding holding this event. Let me play this.
I think that we have done a number of things to mitigate the spread of the COVID. As you probably know, our state has not mandated these various policies that other states have, and I think we're very proud of that, and our numbers have remained low.
He says they've done things to mitigate the spread of COVID, but how does not requiring masks and having no social distancing plan help mitigate the spread of COVID?
Kate, that won't work. Let's look at it. Large gathering. Very few people wearing masks, no social distancing. This is not a political statement. 3 strikes and you're out. To mix metaphors, this professor will mark that answer on the quiz incorrect. For sure, just statistically, COVID will attend this event tonight. It's a stealth virus. It will be there. There will be some spread, and those people will take it home to others and accelerate the spread further. This is a most unwise thing to do.